Welcome to the Real Life Weight Loss Podcast, where we cut through the confusion and get down to the truth about what really works for real people when it comes to losing weight, having incredible health, and a body that you love. We believe that losing weight is really about gaining life, doing things you never thought you could, having renewed confidence, and enjoying your body more than ever. I'm your host, Corey Little. Now let's get to it. Hello and welcome back. This is episode number 293. And today I'm going to explain to you three things that can kind of be crippling your weight loss efforts and really kind of cripple you in almost any area of life. These are three things that I encourage you to stop saying because we just say these things and don't even realize it. Stop saying them and stop believing them. And so I'm going to list these three things for you and then walk through exactly what I would encourage you to do to kind of begin moving away from these in order to stop repeatedly saying them and stop believing them so that they stop impacting your life because that's not what we want, right? But first, I want to share something that I feel is pretty exciting, and I think you will too. Honestly, it kind of snuck up on me, and I saw it, and I was like, wow. And this has everything to do with you. Are you ready for this? This little podcast, the little podcast that could, like the little train that could, is coming up on 1 million downloads. 1 million downloads. Oh my gosh. I am beyond honored and just absolutely humbled by this. This podcast started a few years ago, about 4 years ago, maybe 4.5. And I remember the first episode, and I remember getting so excited when it just broke over 100 downloads. I remember that first episode, and I was like, wow, we had like 120 downloads. And I was so thrilled. There's 120 people out there that are listening and that are excited to hear, or that maybe want to hear what I have to say about weight loss and helping people lose weight and change their life. And now here we are a few years later, and the podcast has grown by leaps and bounds. And we are nearing 1 million downloads, which is just crazy for me to even understand. And here's what I don't want you to miss. It's all because of you. It's all because of you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for rating and reviewing. Thank you for sharing the podcast, for sending it to friends and family. And thank you for your trust in this area of your life. I've talked about that a little bit on previous episodes. You're listening to this podcast, it means you trust me in this area of your life and you trust what I'm sharing with you, and I don't take that for granted. So thank you for listening. Thank you for rating and reviewing. Thank you for sending episodes to friends and family. And if you haven't rated and reviewed, I would be honored if you did that. If you've never sent an episode to a friend or family member and be like, hey, listen to this crazy Southern guy. I think he might make a little sense every now and then. I would be honored if you would send an episode to a friend or family member, okay? Now, with that big announcement, I have another kind of big announcement. In honor, in celebration of this 1 million downloads that's coming up probably within the next month, maybe late May, early June, I have a little surprise that I'm brewing up. Maybe at least one, maybe two surprises as a way to celebrate this and just a way to say thank you. So this is going to be something absolutely free and fun for you. And so keep your eyes out or keep your ears open. Keep listening. If you haven't already subscribed, be sure to subscribe so you won't miss anything that's coming up, because I will be in the next 1 or 2 episodes, 2 or 3 episodes, I'll be sharing this exciting celebration, exciting surprise, and I don't want you to miss it. Okay? Okay. Now, let's move forward into this episode. 3 things to stop saying and believing. First up, number 1 is the idea and concept of slow progress. You may have said it before. You may have heard other people say, "Oh yeah, I'm making progress, but it's slow." You know, I guess I'm losing weight, but man, it's just so slow. So there's a few things I want you to understand here. First of all, slow progress is still progress. There's an analogy that I like to use in my coaching group. Some people really latch on to this, and it's helpful. I might have shared it on the podcast before. I don't remember, but if you are traveling down a road, maybe a highway or an interstate, right, and there's not a lot of civilization, right? You're kind of out, with no houses or businesses, and you're traveling down, and suddenly your car breaks down, and you look down at your phone, and your phone is dead. And so you don't have a choice. You have to get out and start walking. But your next exit, the next chance to get to a place where there is a phone or where you can find help, it's 5 miles up the road. It's 5 miles ahead. So okay, if I get out and start walking in this direction, I have to walk 5 miles and I'll be there. I'll be to the help that I need. Every step you take, let's be honest, in light of 5 miles, every step is small. It's not a significant portion of that 5 miles. But here's what I know. If you keep taking steps, if you keep moving in that direction, you're going to get there. You're going to make it. So every step you can go, God, that's so slow. God, this progress is so slow. Man, I'm never going to make it. And then you could even rush yourself. And, I've got to run. I'm going to sprint because if I run as hard as I can, I'll get there faster. Well, good try. Maybe. But you're probably, unless you're like an elite runner, a marathoner, or something like that, you're probably just going to wear yourself out. So every step you take will help you get to where you want to be. Slow progress is still progress if we just keep going and don't give up. That's the first thing that I want to share in relation to slow progress. Secondly, here's the thing. Please understand, all of you, you can go as fast as you want, but my question is, can you keep it up? Just like with the analogy I talked about, right? Sure, you'll get to help, you'll get to the next exit 5 miles ahead if you run or if you sprint, but can you keep it up? I mean, you can go as fast as you want in the weight loss world, but will it work for you to achieve what you truly want? Now, speaking of what you truly want, this is the third thing I'd like to share in relation to slow progress. It can be really helpful for you to identify what's most important. Is it losing weight fast? Like losing as much weight as you can as fast as you can? As much weight as you can by a certain date? And look, I'm not judging you or shaming you at all. Not at all. Maybe you have a special event coming up. Maybe it's a wedding, right? Or maybe it's a very special, maybe it's a high school reunion and you're like, yes, this is a special date. I want to look great for this. And so I want to lose weight fast. I want to lose as much weight as I can by this certain date. Wonderful. That is so helpful for you to know, and it will help you to choose the right solution in order to help you make as much progress by that date. But maybe that's not what's most important to you. Is it maybe actually keeping the weight off once you lose it? Like finally, once and for all, keeping the weight off? Or maybe is it continuing to enjoy your life and food as much as possible while you're losing weight? Or on the flip side of that, do you not mind doing some super restrictive diet and just trying to hang on for dear life as you go through it? Or maybe when you think of what's most important to you, is it doing the mental work as you lose weight so that you not only change your body, but you also change your mindset and your relationship to food and your relationship with yourself along the way? See, here's the thing. Don't miss this, my friends. You can force weight loss. People do it all the time. You can force weight loss, and you can, to some degree, force it to happen fast. But you cannot force fast mental change and life change. You cannot force yourself to truly change your life in just a week or two, or even 4 weeks. And usually when this happens, usually when we do have fast life change, it's stuff that we don't really want or we don't like. Maybe there was a bad accident. I mean, a car accident can change someone's life in an instant. Maybe it's death of a loved one. God forbid. I don't wish that upon any of you. That changes your life really fast. Maybe it's losing a job. You roll into work on Tuesday and everything's fine, and you come home with all of your stuff packed up in a box because you just lost your job and you had no idea. And suddenly, bam, your life changed really fast. Often, fast change is not the change that we want or we like. Good change, on the other hand, it usually takes time. Not always, but usually it takes us some time. But that doesn't mean that it isn't working. As a matter of fact, I think the reason that this powerful life-altering change tends to take some time is because there's so much more changing than just our body. But like once the roots are set, I think of it like with plants. I have a vegetable garden. I love my vegetables. I love my garden. But it's a process. I have to prepare the soil and plant the seeds or plant the little tiny baby plants, right? And once I do, it's like, wait a minute, is anything happening? Are they even getting any bigger? I don't know. It just seems like this is so slow. But once the roots get worked into the soil, and once the weather really starts to warm up and the watering is occurring and all these things, oh man, they start growing like crazy. And then once all of that has happened, they start producing fruit. And sometimes it's more fruit, it's more vegetables than we can even manage. Once the roots are set, once all of this slow change, what feels like very slow change happens, often the progression speeds up and the change speeds up. So if you're making slow progress, it doesn't mean that you're doomed to slow progress. It also doesn't mean that you're not making progress. It's just maybe slower than you want, but it can be so helpful for you to identify what's truly important. So here's a quick real-life example of this from my coaching group when it comes to this idea of slow progress. A lady posted one time and she said, I try to remind myself that this is a slow process and it will be different than other previous dieting attempts. And I try to remind myself that I'm doing the right things and I just need to be patient, but I'm not going to lie. It's hard to not want to see results quicker. I hear that, man. I feel that. And a lot of you may be like, yeah, amen. So I shared with her, I said, thank you so much for being so honest and so open. It's helpful just to get it out, and it's helpful for us to know how you're feeling. That being said, I encourage you not to just think of this as a slow process, but a life-giving process. You could lose weight faster, but what else would you lose in order to do it? Maybe the occasional piece of candy, the milk in your coffee, the sugar in your coffee, maybe all of your carbs. Like, what else would you give up in order to lose weight faster, in order to make this a faster progress? Do you see what I'm saying? It's not that this is a slow process. It's a process that gives us life and food freedom while we pursue weight loss and figure out exactly what it requires us to do for our specific body and our specific situation. Hopefully that makes sense and is helpful. That's how I coach people. I think that's a really helpful mindset to adopt when you're looking to not only lose weight, but to achieve long-term weight loss success. But again, maybe that's not what's most important to you. So that's the first thing that I think would be really helpful for you to stop saying and believing is the concept or the idea that slow progress is bad or it's not good. I'm making progress, but it's slow. It's okay. It's okay. Next up, number 2. Second thing that I'd love for you to stop saying, stop believing is belittling your victories. Oh my gosh. Belittling your victories and also qualifying things as non-scale victories. This is a big thing I talk about in my coaching group. And for one lady, she's heard it enough. She's been in there enough and she gets it. She gets it, and her mindset's totally shifted. Just recently, she said on a coaching call, she was about to share something with us, and she said, I would say this is a small victory, but it's not. For me, it's really big. And she shared with us how in the past, she never was able to really take a step up onto her stepladder in order to hang her bird feeder. It's coming around to spring. It's the time of year she wants to hang her bird feeder. And she said, I always had to call someone, it might have been her son, to come and do that for me. She said, because I never could do it. She said, I didn't feel like I quite had enough strength in my legs. Plus, I also, with my extra weight, I just didn't feel steady enough and stable enough. And it just felt really scary. And for the first time in who knows how long, maybe ever, she was confident and she went up onto her stepladder and she hung her bird feeder herself. Yes, that is not a small victory. It is huge. That is a massive example of life gained. Like, those things are really big. Guys, gals, all of you, who freaking cares what you weigh if your health is good and you can do all the things in life that you want to do? This is why I want people's focus to be just as much on gaining life as it is on losing weight. Losing weight does not guarantee gaining life. You can lose all the weight you want, but that doesn't necessarily mean your life is going to be better or it's going to be the life that you want. I think it has to be an intentional process as you lose weight, as you move forward, to carve out the life you want, to change your mindset in the ways you want, so that you not only lose weight and move toward the body of your goals, but you have the life of your goals. You have the body that you want and the life that you want. Having the body that you want does not guarantee a life that you enjoy. And if you don't believe it, then just go talk to some people. And if they're really honest with you, they'll tell you, man, we've had so many people in the group, and they look back. And you can probably do this yourself. One of the biggest things we'll hear from people is they'll go, man, I don't know why I've always been so mean to myself. And they're like, I look back at pictures of myself when I was in my 20s. And I can remember that picture. I remember where I was. Maybe it's they're at the beach or on some vacation or with friends. And they're like, I remember that night. I remember that day. And man, I hated that outfit and I felt so fat in it. And they look back and they chuckle and they're like, I just wish I could get back to then. But I wasn't happy with myself then. What's wrong with me? It's because, my friends, it's not just about achieving a certain body. It's about changing our relationship with our body and with ourself. And that takes a strong mental approach. It takes more of a holistic approach other than just forcing a change in our body. So, please stop belittling your victories. Stop qualifying things as non-scale victories. Well, here's a non-scale victory, and I get it. I know it makes sense, right? Okay, it's a non-scale victory. But it's almost like qualifying it, saying, look, I don't know if I've lost weight or I haven't lost weight, and I'm really kind of upset about that, but my pants fit better. That's huge. That's amazing that your pants fit better. I've lost 3 inches on my waist, but I've only lost like a couple pounds. I don't even know how that works, but I mean, hey, it's a little victory. It's not a little victory. It's a huge victory. The bully in our brain wants to belittle our successes, to belittle our victories, and magnify our struggles and our challenges. Please don't ever forget that. The bully in your brain, that little voice in your head, wants to belittle all of your successes and magnify your failures, magnify everything you struggle with. Because if they are successful with that, if the bully in your brain is successful with that, then you will be discouraged, frustrated, and be focusing on totally the wrong things and quit. Think about this. What if you just didn't do that? What if you saw challenges and struggles and you're like, this is an area where maybe I can use some work. But you know what? Look at all these amazing successes. Look at all these incredible wins. Look at all these victories I have. Woo! Yes, I'm going in the right direction. I'm moving in the right direction. This is awesome. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep figuring this stuff out. Can you see just right then and there the incredible mindset shift that it can be? Okay, so that's number 2. Please stop belittling your victories, probably also magnifying your success, your struggles and failures, and don't even worry about non-scale victory. A victory is a victory. Life is not the scales. There's so much more to life than just the scales. Okay, next up, lastly, the last thing that I would love for you to stop saying and stop believing, and this is definitely a stop saying category, are definitive statements and identity statements. Now, what am I talking about? Well, sometimes, whether we realize it or not, we say things that are just really definitive, like we leave no room for change or for modification, and we also make statements that are kind of giving us an identity whether we realize it or not. Let me give you a few examples. I am an emotional eater. Oh, I am undisciplined. I am just so undisciplined. I'm lazy. I am so lazy. I don't like vegetables. My coffee is my best friend. Food is my best friend. I hate being fat and feeling this way, so you know what? No more sugar. I'm done with it. No more sugar, no more bread, no more snacks, no more late night eating, whatever it is, right? No more blank. I'm done with it. So what's the problem with these? What's wrong with these kind of statements, right? Like, hey, Corey, I've said some of those things sometimes. What's wrong with those? Well, here's the problem. Your brain's taking notes. Your brain is watching and listening, and it's taking notes. It watches you. It watches what you do and what you don't do, and it listens to you, what you say and what you believe. And your brain, will ingrain these statements that you're making. In a way, you're speaking these things into existence in your life. And right now, it might be a great time for the But Corey section of the podcast. But Corey, dude, it's true. I am an emotional eater. Come hang out with me. You'll see. Dude, I am undisciplined. Sometimes, I feel like food is my best friend. It's true. So what do you want me to say, man? Do you want me to lie to myself? Look, here's the thing. Even if it has been true for you in the past, it doesn't mean it has to be true for you in the future. It doesn't mean it's going to be true moving forward. You, me, we, all of us, we can change. That's the beauty of being a human being. Our personality, our habits, and our lifestyle is not permanent. There's actually research around this concept of how much we change. And the irony is most people think they stay relatively the same, but what we find through this research is we change dramatically over the course of years and years and decades, but we just don't realize it. We think we stay the same, but we actually change. So what I'm telling you is, by beginning to change some of your language and some of these statements, you can start to craft that change instead of just having it randomly happen. The bottom line is that these statements, they just don't serve you. They do not help you. They're kind of like a confession that might make you feel a little bit better in that present moment, but they're also crippling you in the future. Because when you try to do something different, your brain's going to go, wait, hold on. We're going to go work out? What? Seriously? Are you sure? Like, remember, you're lazy, so it really doesn't sound that great, does it? Wait, hold on, wait. You're going to eat some vegetables? But you don't like veggies, remember? So, look, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you ahead of time, these are not going to taste good. Well, of course they're not going to taste good at this point, right? You've already convinced yourself. So just be ready for that. These aren't going to taste good. You're not going to like them. Wait, what are you doing now? Hold on. You're not going to have your delicious caramel mocha frappuccino, whatever your sweet sugary coffee drink is. What? You're not going to have that? What are you doing? I mean, that's your best friend. You've always said it. It's your best friend. Are you just going to leave it behind? Look, here's the truth. Here's the reality. You're happy and it's happy when you have it. You're happier and it's happier when you have it. So you better just go ahead and get it. Go ahead and get it today. Have it today. You can once you start some program, once you get on some diets, you can figure all this out later. But right now you should go ahead and have that. And these statements, my friends, they turn into beliefs and they get ingrained as a part of our identity. They're just kind of part of who you are. And that's not helpful unless you want to stay exactly the same in all of these ways. So let's adjust your language a bit. This is something I'll do with people when they come inside the coaching group. I'll say, hold on, what's your language? It's kind of a little fun joke. Most of my jokes probably aren't funny, but people amuse me and they may chuckle a little bit. So what's your language? Let's adjust your language a bit. I am an emotional leader. We can shift that to this. I sometimes struggle with emotional eating, but that's something I've become aware of and I really want to work on. Wow, totally different, right? I sometimes struggle with emotional eating. I am undisciplined. Let's change that one. Oh my goodness, from my past experience, I feel like I'm an undisciplined person, but that's not really true because there's a lot of areas of my life where I'm incredibly disciplined. So that's not really true. Can you see how we're already breaking these down? So it's already, your mindset and your identity is shifting. I am so lazy. Okay, what can we do with this one? Well, I've always thought I'm really lazy, but I don't think that's necessarily true. Sure, maybe my past and maybe even the family I was raised in or the friend group I hung out with, maybe we prefer activities that are less physically active, but that doesn't necessarily mean I'm lazy. It doesn't necessarily mean that I can or won't do physical activity. Matter of fact, when I think about it, there's areas of life where I enjoy physical activity. It's just I have a certain idea in my head of, what workouts should be like, and I don't like those, so I think I'm lazy because I don't want to do those. See how we're getting somewhere now? So these are some identity statements, and that's how we can change those. Sometimes it's a very simple shift. Sometimes it takes us thinking through things and talking through things. Now let's come to some of these kind of definitive statements. I don't like vegetables. Well, if you think that and you believe that, you're never going to like vegetables. And that's not true. You don't like any vegetables? Come on, that's not true. So you can shift that and say, you know what? Typically in life, I've never really enjoyed vegetables, but there's a ton of vegetables out there, and I'm sure there's some that I enjoy. And maybe it's just that I don't like raw broccoli, but I might like steamed broccoli. Or maybe I don't like broccoli at all, but I might like green beans. Or, you know what? I do like spinach every now and then if it's cooked a certain way. So it's not that I don't like vegetables. There's just some vegetables that I don't enjoy that much. But there's a lot of vegetables, and I'm sure there's some stuff I could find that I like. Boom, brains open, definitive statement gone. Next up, my coffee is my best friend. Food is my best friend, whatever it is, right? As long as you say that, well, you're going to feel that way. But if we can shift that and go, you know what, if I'm really honest, typically in my life, in the past, I've derived a lot of comfort and a lot of pleasure from food or from my particular coffee drink. And there's nothing wrong with that. And in case you feel convicted or guilty about that or shameful about it, let me go ahead and tell you, there's nothing wrong with that. Now, the problem arises when we maybe derive a little too much comfort or too much pleasure from our food or our coffee or whatever. Maybe it's alcohol. Maybe it's some other, maybe your adult beverages are your best friend. Whenever we derive too much, whenever we lean on those and we depend on those for too much of our comfort or too much of our pleasure, that's when things can get out of balance and lead us in a bad direction when it comes to our health and our weight, and also with our mindset. Because what we're teaching and training ourselves is, I can't do life without these things. I can't manage my life without this. I can't regulate my emotions and process my emotions and deal with stress without my coffee, without my food, my decadent, comforting foods, without alcohol. I can't do that. When in reality, that's not necessarily true. So we can shift that, and we can just crack the door open to progress. And we can say, you know what, in the past, man, my coffee or my food or alcohol, whatever, it's kind of been like my best friend. It really is something I've turned to for comfort and for pleasure. But you know what? I don't have to totally stop that. I don't have to give it up, which is getting into our next statement. I don't have to give it up, but I would like to find more of a balance. So I'm going to start working towards that. Oh, can you see how much better that feels? Working toward a balance with that. You're not giving it up, but you're pursuing better mental health, better emotional health, which will lead to better physical health as you put these things in their proper place in your life. But you're not cutting them out. You're not getting rid of them, which brings us to the next and final statement. I hate being fat and I hate feeling this way, so no more sugar or no more carbs or no more snacking, whatever it is, right? No more. I'm done with it. Anytime we say no more or I'm done with it or, I'm cutting it out, whatever, those are usually statements that are driven by a strong emotion. That's why I started this with I hate being fat. I hate feeling this way. Those are statements that are driven by strong emotion, and we make them kind of in a reactionary sense based off of that strong emotion we felt, right? We felt disgusted with ourselves. We felt disappointed in ourselves. We felt shameful for some reason. And so we react by swinging as far as we can in the other direction. But here's the problem. Changing our body, changing our life, 1 or 2 days of an extreme swing in the other direction, even 1 or 2 weeks in an extreme swing in the other direction, no more sugar, no more snacking, no more bread, no more carbs, whatever, that's not going to cut it. And so we have to find more of a middle ground where we can kind of wander through things and figure out, okay, you know what? I said no more sugar. I like sugar. We all like sugar. I said no more snacking. Show me a single human that doesn't snack every now and then. So I've just got to figure out how to work these into my life and put them in their proper place while moving towards what I really want in life. Okay, there we go. So, my friends, super quick review here. This episode's gone a little longer than I wanted. 3 things to stop saying and stop believing. Number 1, slow progress. It's okay. It's still progress. Not only is it still progress, it's something that you should celebrate because you're in the game. You're doing it. But what can help you with this is identifying what's most important to you. Now, speaking of celebrating it, that's the second thing. Please stop belittling your victories and successes and your wins and calling things non-scale victories. Stop letting the bully in your brain magnify your struggles and your challenges, and start celebrating your victories. Shift your mindset when it comes to those things. And number 3, last but not least, are those definitive statements and the identity statements. Your brain is taking notes. It is listening and watching. It's watching what you do and listening to what you say and what you believe. So shift your language. Watch your language because your brain is watching your language. And that will crack the door open for you to make progress and to move toward the success that you really want. Okay? Okay, now, as I wrap up, I just want to remind everyone, if you haven't already, subscribe because I got a special 1 million download surprise coming your way, okay? Okay, I hope this has been helpful. I hope you'll share it with someone, and I hope the 2 or 3 of you will discuss it because, as I've said many, many times before, I believe you just get so much more out of this podcast or really anything when you do that. And I hope, like I mentioned, you'll subscribe and maybe even rate and review this podcast if you haven't already. I would be absolutely honored by that. I read all of those, and they mean the world to me. And then last but not least, whatever you do, please remember and never forget that there's so much more to you than a number. So don't let the scales dictate your emotions for the day or dominate your headspace. No, no, no. There's so much more to you than that. And losing weight's incredible. I love helping people lose weight. But like I've already mentioned in this episode, losing weight is really all about gaining life and living the life you've always wanted to. And I know you can do it, even if you've tried and failed, even if you've made those definitive statements and those identity statements, and even if you Don't celebrate your victories, and even if you get frustrated with slow progress, it's okay. I still believe in you. I know you can do it. So you keep coming back. You can borrow my belief, and we will get you there, okay? Okay. Take care, my friends. God bless. Bye-bye.